a special sneak preview of the 15-week Music Licensing Fundamentals Bootcamp presented by Aaron Davison and Gary Gray. Each enrollee will receive over 20 hours of detailed instruction on both the business and the creative sides of music licensing, as well as mentoring by both Aaron Davison and myself, and a free 1-year membership to our premium members website, including new monthly training videos covering the latest in business trends and production techniques. The following video is an actual excerpt from the Music Licensing Fundamentals Bootcamp monthly music production training video series. It's called Advanced Vocal Production Techniques for Music Licensing. Featuring Our Love, copyright 2017 by Aaron Davison, produced by myself, recently signed to a top LA publisher within 24 hours of release. Here you have an overview of the entire track. We're going to be focusing today on vocal production.
I'm glad you're here, don't go away. All these nights by your side turn into days.
On this particular track, we chose to use 2 vocal tracks, 2 performances. Here's the original vocal tracks recorded at home by Aaron Davison. Here's the first track.
Our love is true, it won't forget. A butterfly that spreads its wings and never comes back.
Here's the second.
Our love is true, it won't forget. A butterfly that spreads its wings and never comes back.
And here's both.
Our love is true, it won't forget. A butterfly that spreads its wings and never comes back. The shadows dance and fall below.
Now, one approach you can take to start is with tuning and timing. Here's the first track again.
Our love is true, it won't forget.
It's been tightened up rhythmically, and it's also been tuned.
A butterfly that spreads.
This is a program similar to Melodyne. I'm using Cubase. You can use any program for auto-tuning. Here's the second track.
Won't forget.
There you can see the tuning of this one.
That spreads its wings and never comes back. Our love is
Here they are together. You can hear they've been tightened up, both tuning-wise and timing.
A butterfly that spreads its wings and never comes back.
Now we're going to take a look at routing and plugins. So on the first vocal track here, we're going to go in and look at the inserts. You have a maximizer and a de-esser. Then you have a send-return compressor, like parallel compression.
And never comes back.
On the second vocal track, we'll take a look at the routing and the plugins here. So we have a maximizer, no de-esser, a little bit of EQ, and parallel compression.
Lights up the night and shines in your eyes.
Here's the parallel compressor, the send-return. So there's 2 compressors on that track.
Forget.
There's one, which you can see is compressing quite a bit, and then the other one just kind of touching for color. I like the color in that one.
The shadows dance and
You can also see the EQ, mostly mids.
the starry sky lights up the night.
They're routed, both tracks are routed to this vocal stem track, and this is where I do most of my EQing. I do the high pass, cutting the lows. There's another compressor. You can see here, just doing a little bit. And then there's the Greg Wells voice-centric plugin. Very good plugin for vocals. And then I put a limiter on here. Not much, but just a touch, and it gave it a nice color, nice even performance. And then there's a delay that I went send return delay, and let's take a look at it. This delay, you can again see that mostly mids are being allowed to come through. And the middle dot here, we'll go into this in more detail later, but is this dry signal, and I've dropped the dry signal and we've only allowed the delays to come through like 100% of the effect. These are then routed with all the rest of the mix to the stereo bus out, and that has a compressor in it, just a slightly compressing. And then that goes to what I call my final stereo bus out, and on that track, again, that's the entire mix along with the vocals. There's another just touch. These are touches of compression, little bits at a time. You're adding color and just doing a little bit of work each one. Then if you look into the final stereo bus out of the DAW on the mixer, there's a limiter there, and it's just a basic multi set, and again it's just a touch of limiting. But overall, I'm using my ear. That's the key thing, is that you use your ear as you set up your routing. And now something very important is A-Bing. So once you've got that all set up, you want to know, without being blind, where you stand.
All these nights,
So first we're going to listen to our mix. And then below on that track A-B, there's a reference track down there. We're going to listen to that in a minute and go back and forth. And listen, you have to listen carefully.
Summer's blue. These nights by your side.
Now notice something very interesting I'm about to do here, a little secret. I turned on the A-B track
Before you came.
right here, and then I'm going to solo also my vocal tracks and let them all play together.
All these nights by your side turn into days. I'm still stuck.
And it allows me to really compare where I'm at
All these
with the
nights by your
commercial track.
side.
Now important is how you set up your A-B system. We're going to take a look inside the EQ here of the A-B track itself, and you'll notice that since that's a mastered commercial track and I'm comparing it to a mix, I've dropped the lows and the highs and I've lowered the volume so that we have apples and apples. And it's very important to get the volumes very similar. Now when I first started, I would say I was done.
I met you where
Here we're going to take a look. Here's the two vocal tracks here, and this is where the fun begins. And we're going to kind of reverse engineer this. Here's the first vocal track, new vocals 1.
in the stars.
And let's take a look inside of here, and we're going to talk about sibilance,
I met
which is
you
more than just
where
S's.
the moon and the stars.
You'll see it. You'll see in a moment here.
Sand.
Here's the two vocal tracks playing together.
Met you where the moon and the stars met in the sand.
They're both present and pleasant.
I met
So
you
the first track has a
where
maximizer and a de-esser on it.
met in the sand.
Here's the de-esser. But it's not working too hard.
Met you where
It's just
the moon and the stars
touching
met in the
the
sand.
sibilance. The second track,
Met you where
a little brighter overall. There's no de-esser on this track.
met in the sand.
I'm not saying you have to do your tracks like this. This is just what worked well for my ear when I put them together. These two tracks blended together, they sound pleasant, warm, rich, and smooth, and present, bright, and clear.
I met you
Sometimes making the de-esser do all the work is not
met in
optimum.
the sand.
Automating the volume of S's, D's, CH's, T's, etc. by hand prior to de-essing can create great results. So now I'm taking away the hand automated volume adjustments so you can hear the before.
Stars met in the sand. I met you where the moon and the stars met in the sand. I met you where the moon.
Something very important that's going on here is this. When you're trying to find the sweet spot of volume for a vocal track, the sibilance can actually be something you battle without knowing it. As you try to get the volume up, the mind perceives all these, see these sibilances, these T's, ST's, S's, S, D. And this is with a bit of de-essing on this track.
I met you where the
The
moon.
mind will perceive the overall loudness of that track, I found, based on the sibilance. So rather than cranking up the de-esser way up, which will turn down the high frequencies and change the color of the vocals, try a combination of hand-drawn automation and a little de-essing.
Met in
And you're automating all the sibilance.
I met you where the moon
here's the
and
second track.
stars met in the sand.
On the second vocal track, I didn't use a de-esser, but I did hand draw the automation on the S's and other sibilant sounds.
In the sand.
And we're going to take these away so you can hear the before here as well.
I met you where the moon and the stars met in the
Here's what the second vocal track sounded like before the hand-drawn automation.
I met you where
And again,
moon and the stars
the sibilants, when you get to the mastering stages, can really cause problems.
I met
Certain
you
things come
where
up when you master, and one of them
met in the
can be
sand.
sibilants. So it's something that you'll just gain with experience, but hopefully I'm saving you some time and giving you some of that experience right now.
I met you where the moon and the stars met
Now
in the
that
sand.
sibilance can cause problems when you get to the mastering stage. Now here again is the after.
The moon
This
and
track
the
uses no
stars
de-esser,
met
but
in
does
the
have
sand.
hand-drawn volume automation on the sibilants,
I met you where the moon and the stars
which
met
tames
in
it
the
just enough, I
sand.
felt. Notice again how pleasant and present the vocals sound with the combination of carefully hand-drawn automation and de-essing. Now, after all that hard work, you may not realize that an effect can pile back on sibilants if you're not listening closely. In this case, here's the delay.
I met you
So we're working with the delay. Notice that I subtracted the dry signal, the middle dot, and kept the delayed signals, the left and right dots, alone.
I met you where the moon and the stars met in the sand. I met you where
Let's take a closer listen to the sibilants when I raise the dry signal in the delay plugin. We're going to solo it.
I met you where the moon and the stars met in the sand.
Notice how I'm adding pleasant delay with no added sibilants by subtracting the dry signal from the plugin.
Where the moon and the stars met in the sand. I met you where the moon and the stars met in the sand.
And as an overview, what you want is you want to treat your vocal track so that when you bring it up to the volume that you like, it's pleasant and present.
Where every
Before I figured all this out, what would happen is I'd bring my vocal track up and it would actually, I'd have to bring it down because the sibilance was just too annoying. But I didn't realize that that was the problem. So I hope that helps.
I'm glad you're here, don't go away.